All right. Welcome
Wow.
to episode 8 of the Dr&Dr podcast. We're excited to have a couple of guests on board today. From William Collier Design, we have Judy and William. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for the invitation.
For sure. Take it away.
Okay, so obviously we're in the medical and surgical hair restoration space. And we have a lot of patients who, when they're undergoing treatment, either non-surgical or surgical, are looking at options. A lot of times for special events or things, they'll be looking at wigs or hair systems. And then we have some people where they're either not a candidate for treatment, or they've just decided that they don't want to undergo treatment and would rather find a wig or hair system or other solution. So it's nice that we've, found William Collier Design and that you really, care about your patients and take the time to educate them on their options. So we thought it would be good to have you on just so you could educate our podcast audience on different options. And, not everyone lives in this area. So also could maybe give some tips on what to look for in general when you're looking at where to go to. So that's kind of a lot. So we'll kind of break things down. So I think to start with, if you could kind of just explain for people that aren't familiar, the difference between like all the different options that you have. So wigs, hair systems, hair pieces, anything else that you think would be good to go through.
Well, our business offers a variety of solutions for women. Men, it's typically a hair replacement system, but with the women, we can fine tune it depending on their budget, how long they might be wearing it for. If it's chemotherapy related. But we offer human hair wigs that specifically European hair. We have some virgin European hair, synthetic fibers. And then we recently brought in a wig line that combines a high heat synthetic fiber with human hair that's been going over very well. It's a little more budget friendly than some of the human hair options that we offer, have a little more natural look than some synthetic wigs, all synthetic wigs.
Okay.
And toppers, generally we're doing human hair. We do have synthetic options available, but most of the time it's human hair.
And toppers would be like a smaller, like if it's just a smaller area that needs to be covered and then it would clip in, or what would that look like?
Exactly. Yeah. It clips into their, most of our women clip their toppers to their bio hair if they have enough hair. Sometimes it's a combination of clips and tape. So we've been seeing, we see quite a few people with frontal fibrosing alopecia or I think lichen planopilaris. Okay. And so they might be receding back and they don't have any hair to clip to. So we'll set them up with tape and then clipping in the back, or they may go into a full wig. And toppers can vary in sizes. So sometimes a small one, but sometimes they need more coverage depending on their area of hair loss, their head size. So we really want to make sure they're set up with the right one, because we don't want, the hair splitting in the back where you're going to see the scalp. And also one thing that people don't think about when they get these tiny toppers that clip in the center, that's usually a more sensitive area. So when you're clipping right up there in the center, that can pull more and cause more traction hair loss. So we generally like to bring it down a little bit where it's a little bit a stronger area.
Yes.
So we really take the time. Now, sometimes people will just choose smaller, and it's ultimately up to them, and that's what we tell them. But I'll say, this is what I would recommend. This is what I think you should do.
Okay. And with the toppers, when you're talking about like for frontal fibrosing alopecia or someone where their hairline is receded, are there toppers in that kind of shape, or are they getting multiple toppers, or what would that look like?
Right. Sometimes they can there are toppers that come down all the way down there. Most of the time they're starting out with just one that's coming across the front of their head and the hair is coming down enough to cover it, to mask that.
Okay.
And most of the time they're happy with that. We do get some people that want to be able to tuck the hair behind their ear. And if they don't have any hair there, then we either need to go with a more structured, specific type of piece, or they'll go into a full wig.
Okay.
And we have the ability, we have one wig line that we can actually take the wig the way it's made and cut off the back. And so you get the fit of a wig with the temples, but it's only hitting like maybe more like a 3/4 cap, where then it's clipping in the back. But
Okay.
it's always the length of the hair. Sometimes people come in and they think it's just like a topper's just a short hair on the top, but it's actually the length of their hair.
Right.
So it'll come down and blend in and dominate their hair.
So it sounds like for men or people with shorter hair, you're mostly looking at a hair replacement system. And then for people with longer hair, you're looking at either a wig or a topper as the main options. Is that correct?
I would say it comes down to how much hair loss they have, whether or
much
not
hair
they're
loss.
going to wear a wig, or
Okay.
if they're sensitive to the clips. I've had a few people over the years I've been doing this that they're just so sensitive to the clips. They just can't handle them at all.
Okay.
And you don't want to tape over hair. That we are learning some new attachment methods where it's a bonding method where you kind of create a track that you can bond to, but we haven't really implemented that yet. I'm hoping to soon.
Okay. This might be hard. Like if someone asked me to do this for our treatments, it would be hard because it depends so much on the person. But I guess generally, like in terms of ranges of pricing for each of them, are you able to provide kind of a general range?
Yeah. So it comes down, well, to the length, the type of hair, the construction. So I would say for human hair on the low end, and it comes down to the type of hair, the low end might be $1,200, but our typical price, we have one topper in particular that people have been choosing because of the density. It's virgin European hair, so it's nice, and they also have gray options, and those pieces range from $1,800 to $2,000. But if you get into longer lengths or pieces that have more of there are some that have a skin top. They call it a scalp illusion or a scalp appearance. So it's extra material fabric that looks scalp-like. Those can generally cost more. And then, of course, you're paying for the length. But, I see every day I have women coming in that say, I want more hair, but I don't want too much hair. So we're always looking we always seem to have those pieces around that have that lighter density, because it's always, they want more hair, but it's shocking when you put more.
Right.
more
And they
hair
want
on
it
their
to look
head.
natural and not noticeable probably
Yeah,
to
exactly.
people around
The term
them.
is, I don't want this to look wiggy. And it's like, well, we don't either. We want it to look natural.
Right.
So
you already mentioned something about with the toppers choosing, areas that tend to have stronger hair to try to minimize any traction loss. Are there other things that you would recommend for people that are considering hair systems, wigs, and toppers if they are also maybe wanting to continue with medical and surgical treatment of their hair loss? So basically they still want to work on their natural hair. Anything you would recommend to minimize damage to their hair follicles?
I think, so with the clip, it comes down the weight of the topper. So when you have a lighter density, it's going to pull less on their hair than like a heavier or bigger topper. So that can make a difference, but also rotating the clips. So we have depends on the piece, but we have some toppers where you can do what's called a tape-on clip. So the clip has a backing and use a special tape that's very strong. It's called red liner. It does not break down and get gummy or anything like that. In fact, generally the clip will break before that thing is going to come off. So that makes it easy to rotate them. And we have some men that do the same thing where they don't want to be bonded. They don't want to shave their head, the top of their head. They don't want to sleep in it. So we'll do a combination of tape and clips with them as well.
Okay.
And so we can do, and then some toppers you do have to sew the clips on, but they're just hand sewn and just, so if you needed to rotate them, we offer that as a service too. If you didn't feel comfortable doing that, we can help with that. So rotating the clip, so you're not clipping in the same spot, to answer your question, can help that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then you've kind of been talking about it, but for people that are not familiar with the process of getting a hair system. Could you explain a little bit what happens during that?
So
and let's even take it a step before that.
Yeah.
Let's say I am interested in a hair system. I don't know anything about it, but I walk into William Collier Design.
Yeah.
And so walk me and talk me through what I'm going to go through.
Absolutely. Yeah. So a phone call will happen. Usually the client will call or text us. We have an ability, people can text us directly through our site or email, and we'll reach out to them. We'll send some information in advance. We have a PDF document that kind of breaks down the pricing and some of the, what we include. So they get some questions answered ahead of time. But then we book, the important thing is we book a complimentary consultation. So they'll come in and meet with a consultant, whether that be myself or have a couple other consultants, and they'll show them all the options. And, for men, it's limited. There's different base types. And then we talk about the different attachment methods and how to get longevity or, what you can expect. And with women, then we'll look at we ask them to send us a photograph ahead of time. That helps us prepare for the appointment. And so we can look at, okay, this is what we have. Oh, this is what we'll bring out and show them or have ready to go. And so, so then we try them on, clip them on, see what do you think about this? And just get all their questions answered. I'm really about educating the client, explaining to them what type of hair they're getting, what they can expect from that hair. Can you lighten it? Can you darken it? Because there's a variety of pieces out there. You can buy things online and you don't know what you're getting,
right?
How the hair is processed, whether it's the color's made with a textile dye. What does that mean? Well, if it's textile dye, you can't lighten that hair. That color, you can darken it, but you can't lighten it. So it's important for me to educate people, because the worst thing for me would be someone to come in 6 months later and say, I want to add some highlights to my topper. And then I'm like, oh, sorry, you can't. It's textile dye. And if I didn't tell them that, then, my goal as the co-owner with William is I want everybody happy. It breaks my heart when someone's not happy. So I try to avoid problems. And part of that is educating them and taking them through all those steps so they can make an educated choice.
Yeah.
And if I were going to add something,
yes, please.
I would simply say she does an outstanding job.
Thank you.
No,
Absolutely.
You can tell she really, really cares about everyone.
Passion shines through when you're speaking.
Thank you.
That sets the pace for my participation when it comes to the actual cutting of the piece. It just makes it so much. The stage has been set, so to speak, and the expectation is there, and I deliver.
I love it.
So are you saying the cutting of the piece? So you do the technical kind of aspect of it? Is that right?
Yes, we include the custom cut.
Okay.
And so that might be William, but we also have 4 other stylists.
Okay.
So we will usually match up the client with the person. That could be personality, could be skill set, could be the need or demand. Usually William gets the clients. I'm like, oh no, they need to go to William, because he's been doing this for so long and he's not afraid to get in there and get that cut in there, right? Like, because his hair's not going to grow back. So if, some of our other stylists sometimes might go, maybe I shouldn't do that. They're a little more resistant. But William, he's a master cutter. So, again.
Well, I would like to also mention that I trained at the Vidal Sassoon Academy in London.
Oh, wow.
And that was back many years ago. But the mantra in that training program was every hair counts.
That people also say that in hair transplant. It's actually interesting how much, obviously we're on very different sides of it, but a lot of it is
where it's
similar, right? Yeah.
I want to double click on one thing that I did not know, and I just learned now, and now it seems common sense to me. And it's that you can do highlights and you can color your hair systems, and you just treat them like your hair.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's great. And so someone is thinking and considering this, right? These are the questions they would probably ask us and ask of themselves. What do you guys recommend? Like, do you say you can go any color, you can go any kind of highlight, to the extent, who do they go to, right? I'd probably say they should probably come back to you guys because you guys know what you're doing. But how does that conversation work, and where would you guide them?
I would suggest they go to a specialist. And so, if they're purchasing something from us and they, I would recommend that they have us do it because this is what we do. And we're familiar with this. This is hair that's already been color treated. It's come off of possibly a variety of heads. They have ponytails of hair that they pre-color and then they tie in, to make these pre-colored pieces. And like one of our vendors, they'll have, say, 4 colorists and they're all going for this one particular color, but they may achieve that 4 different ways.
Oh, wow.
So they have, say they're making a wig and they've got these ponytails and they have this pattern. They're pulling from this hair that this blonde color could have been done by this person. This blonde color was done by this person, and they're different.
Oh, wow.
That are being put into the wig or the topper. So then you're coloring over that. And so it can respond differently. So sometimes we'll do test strands. If it's a wig, we figure out the formula, and we might do it in a couple different spots on the wig because you can't just assume that formula is going to work throughout the whole wig.
Right.
It's tricky for sure, or how the hair grabs. It could grab quickly and darker. It could grab ashier and you want more gold. So adding more gold. And I'm not a colorist. I don't do hair, but I've been around this enough. I'm always like, add more gold, add more gold.
You got the best part of the information is the complaint. I mean, it's tricky. The color is really one of the most unpredictable parts. I mean, the cutting is predictable to an extent,
right?
But the color is it's different.
And so most people, when they get their like a wig or a topper, are they having a cut? Like everyone's getting a cut to match it to their length, or what and then does everyone get it colored, or some people just go with the color that it is, or some people want to like customize it and
it's
make
not
it
quite perfect. Like a lot of the vendors, so we have some pieces that are virgin hair. So you might have, like, if you think of one is black and then you got 1B, and then if you're a colorist, there's all these odd numbers, but generally it goes 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, up to a certain level is virgin hair. So if they're like, I want this color 6, which is a medium brown, but I want some highlights in it. Easy peasy. It's virgin hair. We're not going through color. But sometimes these pieces from other vendors are already pre-colored. It could be a blend of Chinese and Indian hair. And then that vendor is making that color with a textile like dye. So if someone liked it, wanted highlights, no. But if they wanted low lights, they wanted some more dimension, or they wanted a root grow out. Sometimes, it might be a piece that doesn't already have that. And oftentimes they have that built in there, or sometimes it's not quite dark enough. We can they can color in what looks like a root grow out. So those are all things that get decided, like what's going to best match their hair if it's a topper, or if it's a wig that mimics their hair as best as possible. And then, of course, the cut is, going to be customized to them and their current style if it's a topper or a wig.
Were you referring to the influence that we would have in making a decision about the cut, or what the client was requesting?
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering. I never really, honestly, I never really thought about cutting and coloring wigs. Clearly, I'm very, very naive on this topic.
I kind of picked up on that with the question.
Yeah. So I'm kind of, just wondering, like, is that standard, or is that something that some people decide on? And it sounds like it.
So as far as the actual cutting goes, the client, I encourage the client to duplicate something. Maybe the style that they last had, perhaps, or something that they had in the past that they really, really liked, but it got to a point where their hair was thinning and they couldn't really do that anymore, so they started changing to hide the hair loss. And but I like to make sure that the client understands that every snip is permanent. So we definitely are very, very careful. And if they do want to get into something that's a little bit more outside the realm of what they have been used to, I'll do it, but I'll leave myself enough wiggle room so that if I have to come back and redo it, I can do that. Yeah.
Now we can always cut more.
Yeah.
But you can't put it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I explain that profusely in the consultation. And then William reiterates that.
Yeah.
And, we do a follow-up with anything they purchase that's human hair. We include a follow-up appointment where they come back in, like you offer your follow-up appointments, to come in for a complimentary first wash and style. So we're washing their wig or topper in front of them, giving them a full lesson on how to pin it to the styrofoam head to secure it. The best way you're not going to damage your wig, how to, the best temperature for your curling iron or flat iron, because this hair's not going to replace itself.
Right.
You got to make sure you use a heat protectant. We want to teach them that. I mean, it would behoove us to not care, and go, go for it. Do whatever you want. Right. And then they're damaging it and having to replace it. But that's not how we are. We want them to have longevity and success and be happy with their purchase for as long as possible.
Right.
So we want to make sure, and then now they've been wearing it so they come back about 2 or 3 weeks after the cut and style.
Okay.
And now they've had some experience with it. So when they come back for that lesson, if they want more cut, we can always cut more. So and that's what I tell them. We can always cut more. Like, these bangs are a little too long, or, you do want some facial framing, or it feels too thick or something.
Okay.
And that's with men's systems too. A lot of times they need a little adjustment.
So like when let's say, use my analogy again. I'm coming in as an interested client and you're educating me now. I'm super impressed by this whole process.
Okay.
How quickly do I need to make a decision in that? Like, what is the timeline between the decision I made to pursue this and the placement, the clipping, the cutting, the coloring? Is that all in one go, or do we separate that into multiple visits?
You're right. So at the consultation, we determine what they will be purchasing. Sometimes we've had women, they come in, they see this wig, we've already kind of pre-styled it, or maybe even a topper, but oftentimes it's the wig. And then they're like, walking out the door with it. And then they may come back. Then when they come back for that follow-up appointment, we might do some more cutting. But most times we're like, okay, we need this wig, this size, this color, or okay, we like this topper, but we need this color. So then we check the availability of that, and then we let them know, usually at that time, as long as we get a hold of the vendor, if it's not a weekend.
Yeah, how difficult is it to source the perfect wig? I mean, that's quite interesting. And what's the turnaround time? It depends on the
person's hair.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's tricky. Curly hair is tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's our hardest one.
Difficult.
Yeah, it is, because they don't just make them in human hair. Like, let me order that curly, or I want that curly, or this curly. It's just, so oftentimes we have to figure out the best hair to perm. So we have to perm it, but there's not all hair can you perm, right? And then there's color. What if they want highlights and lowlights, and then we need to perm it? Then that's a double process. So it is tricky. But to get back to your question, timeline. So as long as it's in stock, then we figure out, okay, we're going to order this piece. We're going to make this color adjustment. We say, okay, we're going to get it in. We're getting it colored, foiled on this day, and then we can have you come back on this day. And usually we can figure that all out at that appointment. As long as I can get a hold of the vendor, I know it's in stock, I can figure out when it's going to get colored, and then when they can come back. And then sometimes it's a phone call to set that date.
Okay, perfect. So we're looking at a few weeks to maybe a few months in worst case scenarios with something.
Probably not a few months unless we have to do a custom order. Which is that's is available to anyone if time is not in the way. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So I would say on average 2 to 3 weeks.
Perfect.
Sometimes a week. It depends on the urgency. Or
if it's urgent, we make it happen a little faster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
we'll do what we can.
Yeah,
absolutely. But custom orders these days, I mean, I mean, that's another thing. You know, people want things like right away, and I would say 4 months.
Yeah, Amazon Prime deliver my hair system.
That we definitely it changed pretty dramatically during the COVID period because factories shut down, and when those factories shut down, a lot of those people didn't come back.
Wow!
So it really hit the industry pretty hard.
Yeah, because some of the factories are in China, and that's where it was initially, and people were dying.
Yeah.
And then they had to train people, and then they were sourcing to other countries. It was, I mean, I had some orders taking over a year.
Wow.
It was a nightmare. And even sourcing stock systems, like men's stock systems, and we do a lot of that these days because they make them in a variety of colors and grays and things like that.
I think there was, it seemed to me there was an adjustment that took place after COVID, that they made a wider option of selection within the selection. Is that accurate? I mean, they had more options after COVID
I don't know.
because they were trying to make up for that time element that was involved. I don't know either, actually.
Well, I found myself, and we don't just work with one vendor. So I have
Absolutely.
a variety of sources for men's hair systems. So if, say, they ordered this particular one in the past, I call the vendor, do you have this? Nope. You know, I don't know when I'm going to get more. Then I would call another, you know, to get something similar.
Right.
And it was a lot of work, frankly. That was a very difficult
Where
time.
do a lot of these hair vendors, hair system vendors, where are they located? You mentioned China.
Well, so we
Where
don't
else?
work with any factories directly.
Okay.
We work with companies in the U.S. I don't want to deal with problems with company in China
We
or
have enough problems in the U.S.
yeah.
Hot topic are tariffs. So tariffs on
Yeah.
hairs.
Oh yeah, that's been a kind of a
Yeah.
little bit of
I mean,
a
it's a real issue.
panic. Yeah, exactly. Because it's not like we're going to bring that manufacturing to the U.S. It would
Right.
it would be cost prohibitive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and the training and the you know, these factories, you know, these been doing this for years. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
but they're not all in China. We have some in Indonesia. Some of our vendors or factories are in Indonesia.
Okay.
Okay.
We have a company whose factories in Germany. No, Italy. They're based out of Germany, but their factories in Italy. So anyway,
There's
we're
a variety of suppliers and everything.
Mhm.
And then in terms of the wigs and toppers, we kind of touched on it. But I want to break that down because, you know, I'm not even entirely sure how that works. What does the kind of maintenance and care look like? Like, you know, you take that home, you wash it. How often I guess,
Yeah.
so like, can you explain that a little bit?
That's a great question. So it depends on the type of hair.
Okay.
The more processed the hair is, the more frequently you'll want to wash it and condition it because the hair will just start looking stiff and not have that movement. So like if you have something made with a textile dye, you have to think that hair was stripped of all of its color and then hair color deposited back in. So it's more processed, so it dries out faster.
Mhm.
So it's important to probably wash that more frequently. But most of the wigs and toppers we offer are of a higher quality than that.
Okay.
So I am often saying, if someone were to ask me that, I'd say 2 weeks probably be on the short end, but you might be able to go 3 weeks to a month,
Okay.
you know, and that's part of why we give that lesson and then giving them
that.
the tools. And we do offer it as a service too. If someone's I'm just not great with hair or,
Okay.
Just lazy.
or they just don't have the time. You
Yeah.
know, we have one gal brings in her wigs every couple weeks. She's has a daughter. She works full time. You
Yeah.
know, it's long hair. You know, it's
That's like me this morning. It's like, could I do my hair? Yes, but I had someone come to my house and do my hair because I'm lazy.
I know. That's how I feel with my hair. And
I think hair for women has actually been an extension of a pampering process, you know, and
Yeah, it's a time I just like, I don't need to, it's the same amount of time, but instead of me being stressed about doing it, someone else is doing it for me. Sometimes it's nice to just know a professional is taking care of it.
Yeah. And we have some clients say they drop off their wig or topper and the style, it's scheduled to be done. And then they come back at the end of the day or the next day, or they'll have a rotate. Oh, I'm picking up this one, dropping off that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't want to scare people. Most people can manage it themselves. It's just, what works best for you.
Okay. If you are caring for it properly, what is the expected, I guess, length that you can expect that it will last, I guess, before having to replace it?
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it varies pretty substantially depending on probably the age, for one thing. If a woman, for an example, has retired, her activities are such that she's probably not out swimming, or she's playing tennis, or she's doing a lot of different physical activity that's going to cause her to need to shampoo it more often, or even wear it more often. Frequently, a woman that is, has retired will often not even, sometimes won't even put it on all day. So it gets a lot of variation. If you're still in the game and you're going to work every day, then I think it becomes more, obvious what needs to be done. I personally like to add to the distinction of every 2 or 3 weeks, but primarily make a decision about it, how it looks. If you see that it's kind of clinging together and sticking, to your head too close, and you're not getting the activity out of it that you want, then it's
So you're talking about the washing. But as far as longevity out of the pieces, it depends on the piece. So I would say wigs can last, higher quality wigs if they're gentle, a year to year and a half, but most are repairable. So what a repair means is usually it'll lose hair over time just from styling and fussing and doing all the different things. They'll shed hair over time. A lot of them are all hand tied. So, so they can get sent back to the factory. They can put more hair back into them.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So, and so that can be the same with wigs or toppers.
Okay.
A synthetic wig depends on the length of the hair, how long it will last. If it's longer hair, it's really prone to tangle. Just a traditional synthetic. I mean, you'd be lucky to get 6 months out of that.
Okay.
Just because clothing, friction. But shorter hair, you might replace it once a year. Just starts getting dull and you'll get pilling at the nape.
Okay.
As far as men's systems, it comes down to how they're attached. So if you're bonded, that means you're sleeping in it. You're doing all these activities in it. I mean, we do have some older men that are bonded and they can get their pieces to last 6 months to a year, but there are some, they're having to replace them once every 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
Right. And it depends, again, to the piece, the type of piece, and how often they're coming in for their bonding service, because that's wear and tear too.
I did want to go into the hair replacement systems a little bit more in terms of, you mentioned there's like a bonded option. Can you just go through like what would happen technically? So you're like shaving what would be happening for those people that don't
William,
understand
do you
that?
want it? Because he does that.
I'll start out. I think within the consultation, it's going to be determined if a certain, because of their activities and whatnot, a certain application is going to be more appropriate for them. If they're really active, obviously the permanent attachment, we call it a permanent attachment. That means that they will have to return to us to actually redo it. So there are other attachments that are less permanent that are appropriate for some people that are not as active. But I think I think I forgot what the question was.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of understand. So when you talk about the permanent attachment option, is that the bonding that you're?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And if someone's doing that option, how often do they typically have to come in to have you?
Well, it's sort of combined with the frequency of the cut itself. So, but if they are relaxed about the cut, which men generally these days are they're pretty good about staying on schedule. So that's usually about 4 weeks.
Okay.
And most often the bonding will last for 4 weeks. But by the time they come in, they would not have made the 5th week because it's ready to peel.
Okay.
It pretty much peels.
Yeah, hair
right.
starts because they're most of the time they're shaving them out, and then that hair will continue to grow.
Right.
You know, so it'll grow and then start loosening. The adhesive starts breaking down.
Right.
But it also comes. We do have some guys that come in every 2 to 3 weeks because they're going to the gym, they're working out,
Sure.
they're their body chemistry. You know that they're breaking it down faster, so they need to come in more
frequently.
Yeah.
And the non-bonded option, I guess, is that like clipped in, or what does that look like?
Or just tape.
Okay.
There's a daily tape.
Okay.
Yeah, so they can take it off at night. And I tell guys, you're going to get more longevity out of you're not sleeping in it. So if you're married and your spouse knows you're wearing hair and they don't care, you can take it off at night. I mean, it's not like you couldn't sleep in it or you're going on a trip. And even those daily tapes can last a couple of days. But they are designed so it's not going to harm your skin if you're taking it off every day. Because there are some strong tapes you do not want to take off every day. Yeah.
Right.
Did I say that right? Strong tape. They can harm your skin. Okay.
So if you're doing the bonded option, I think they're having to come in at least every 4 weeks, maybe more frequently every 2 to 3 weeks. The non-bonded option, if they're doing that, is it like just kind of like a topper where they're buying something and then they're applying it and there's not as much maintenance with you? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Or
That'd be pretty close. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty manageable at home. For
Okay.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Just coming in for the haircut because it's important to have that hair working together. So if their hair starts getting too long and it doesn't work with the piece, that's when it starts looking like you're wearing a hairpiece.
Right.
So that's what I always tell new wearers, to have this look natural and the best, there's this maintenance and you need to get in for haircuts. If your hair is a lighter color, like the clients with black hair, that color holds. But if it's a lighter color, it fades. Just because this is processed hair, pre-colored hair. So it'll fade over time. And then when that hair no longer matches, so that's part of the maintenance. You might need to say, hey, when I come in for next appointment, I need my hair system colored. That way we keep it working together and matching. It's going to look the best possible.
Got it. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So it appears that if you go through this process, one of the questions we get in hair restoration surgery is, will it look natural? And we're always educating and fighting against the old kind of adages of what it used to look like, hair plugs, right?
Exactly.
And everything has changed tremendously in the last 15, 20 years, and it keeps improving and improving. What can you tell our listeners, anyone that's interested in going this route, does it look natural? And what is it now that allows it, to look as natural as possible?
We were a part of the same revolution. Yeah. I would take it back a little further, probably 20 years, and maybe even a little further than that. But back then, the emphasis was on longevity. And consequently, I think the word out there in the public was, well, it's a kind of expensive to do, but they'll last you for 2 years, Well, yeah, it'll last you for 2 years if you want to look like you have a broom on your head for 2 years, And that's exactly what created the longevity was the amount of hair that was in the piece, And that's when they took on that extra sort of way of being referenced as a rug frequently, And not only that, the comedy experts had quite a go with hair pieces. It was comical. It didn't get serious until this revolution or that my age group until they got out of the way. And the new fellows that are coming in now, I mean, they don't blink an eye at having to replace them, every 3 months if necessary. We've got we've got, I think, one fellow that comes in every 2 months. But the delicacy of the material that they're using these days, combined with the way that we can manage density, it's just like night and day.
Yeah, with like lace front systems, they'll literally hand tie in one hair at a time along that front hairline. So that's what helps that look more natural. Whereas in the past, what William was referring to, that wasn't just the amount of hair, it was the base material was super thick. So that's why all the jokes. But now it's just such fine materials. They have super thin skins. We don't do a lot of the super thin skins because they don't last very long, but we have a few. They don't want to even feel it on their head, or lace systems, or there's a combination. So it's these finer, refined materials that make it look natural. And we want it to look natural too. And as long as when they walk out the door, they're going to look great. Now, how they take care of it on a daily basis, that's, it's up to them.
It varies quite a bit from one to the other.
Right.
But, in today's expression among younger men, the hairpiece industry actually got a nice little nudge by the style that is now popular, where it's cut out pretty short in through here. And consequently, it creates a ledge there. So it prevents the need for blending on that. It's like made for a hairpiece, without having to blend it. So,
William, people will watch him do a cut in, like say the spouse is watching their, husband get their hair system cut in, and they're like, he's an artist. Because getting that hair to blend in the back, it's like nobody does it better. I mean, we have some great stylists, but William is the master at that. It is.
Well, truth be told, if I were approaching that from the standpoint of just a haircut or maintenance, I wouldn't be doing it. I would not be doing it. I mean, I've got a story that's going on in my head, and so I'm actually in my toolbox of excellence. I don't. It's all about. They think it's about them. It's about me. I want it to look and behave a certain way.
Right.
So I'm on point.
I love that. So I mean, this is a good segue into the question I want to ask, which is, unfortunately, you guys aren't everywhere. And you guys are very passionate and experts at what you do. So what are the few things that people that are interested in going and finding folks like you, and they can't make it out to Greater Seattle, what are the questions they should be asking? What is the research they should be doing to get the best of the best? Well, short of getting a ticket and coming here.
I know, exactly. Well, I think that phone call, calling a place and just ask some probing questions, or feeling just the reception you're getting on that phone call, and then finding out if they offer, complimentary consultations. And so you can go in and make sure you're 100% comfortable, and have them show you, make sure they show you samples. I had someone come in when they told me on the phone call. I mean, they were local, so they were going to come in, but they go, we're going to go to this other place too. And I said, okay, yeah, do it, shop around. And they come in, I'm like, okay, so did you go to that other appointment? And they go, yeah, but they didn't show us anything. We didn't get any of our questions answered. And I was like, wow, I was shocking. So I would say if you're out of the area, even, making sure you see samples, you need to see samples of what it is that what they're offering, and just like you're feeling heard and you feel comfortable. I mean, that's how we approach it. Are they coming? Are they giving their heart? Because this is personal. This is very personal.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. It is very personal. Hair is personal. We definitely understand that, cumulatively as a group. And I think one of the things that you guys highlighted early on is the education aspect. Right. And educating in this day and age of misinformation that is at your fingertips, especially with social media, is so important.
There's so much false advertising out there. If you Google wigs and you find something, I have clients send me a picture and go, "Oh, I want a wig like this wig." And I'm like, that's not a wig. That's a person's hair. That's even a movie star's hair, and that's their hair.
Yeah.
So they're what are they saying? As the online store saying, "Oh, the wig looks like this person's hair," because this is not a wig.
No, we see
so
this
it's just
like
false.
before and afters of like a hair transplant, and it's like a completely bald person with like no donor, and then the after is like a completely full head of hair, and I'm like, this is not actually possible, or even worse than that, because maybe they had a bunch of body hair. Okay, fine, I can buy it surgically, but even non like it's a miracle case. Okay, but like non-surgically, it'll be like, oh, I use this non-surgical serum, and now I'm like, there's no way. This is definitely false advertising.
I mean, if there was something that was just really working, it would be making the news. I mean, it would be breaking news, right?
Yeah.
And we'd all know about it. But I just want to say, for people out of state or out of the area, I mean, we do service a lot. We have people come down from Alaska, Montana, Idaho, even Portland, Oregon. There's not really anybody down there. So I had a lady that reached out to us from San Antonio, Texas.
Wow.
And we're going to work with her. I Zoom
That's
with her,
great.
and she wants hair like me. And I'm sorry, folks, this is my bio hair, but she's like, I want hair like you. I want it to look just like you.
Mm-hmm.
And my hair's actually curly. I straightened it today. So I took samples of my hair, and I'm going to match it to my hair and kind of have the pattern. But typically, we start with a Zoom or a FaceTime consultation because, they're coming into town maybe for a day or a weekend. And so I have usually the ability, if I get things figured out ahead of time, to have options sent up. I have some vendors that will send me some things on consignment. That means they're not charging me for them. And I might get a couple different sizes. I kind of get it narrowed down, like color. And or I might know what I already have in stock. And so I've even ordered things on our dime, knowing if I need to, I can send it back, or maybe it's something I want to keep. So I'll try to have as many options that are suited, that's financially possible for us. So they come in, they have the consultation. We already have the appointment booked to have it cut. I mean, these are people that are serious. Like, I want to do something.
Yes.
Consultation, have it cut, walking out the door, the same day by doing that Zoom or FaceTime consultation in advance. And sometimes I'll send them fit caps. So if it's a wig, they come in I have one vendor that makes them in different sizes. So I can send these fit caps to determine, are they a small, extra small, triple X small, medium, whatever it might be.
Okay.
So then I can make sure I have the right size.
Right. So even for out of town people, if you arrange it ahead of time, you can make it to where it's an efficient process for them to visit and everything too.
Right.
I did want to get a little bit into just how you all are different from what I know of you and the experience some of my patients who've gone to you have had. That, my perception of it is a lot of places, including one of the big players nationally, will kind of make people feel really bad about themselves, break them down. Like, I've heard they will shine a bunch of lights and put a bunch of mirrors so that they have to look at all the balding, and that they're heard from someone who worked there that their goal is to break them down and make them cry and then sell them a solution, basically. So,
oh my God,
there's places that are basically trying to capitalize on the emotional aspect and the vulnerability, which I think is really sad. So that's like, I think for a long time, I didn't recommend anywhere because I didn't want to send someone to that. So it was really nice to find somewhere and people who cared about the person. We're going to educate them, give them options, which is what we do on the medical and surgical side, and then not be pushy about, selling a solution and, leaving it up to them to make the choice that's best for them and making sure that they feel cared for and supported and trying to make it as comfortable for them emotionally as possible. So I think for us, that's why we were really excited to find you all in town. That's what I know of you and what I've heard is the opposite of some of the horror stories that I've heard. But I guess, I'm curious kind of from your perspective, what sets you apart? And I would even be curious how you all got into this, specialty and niche.
Well,
Right.
I'll start. So I've been in the hair industry for over 50 years, and during that time, as I mentioned earlier, my early training was at the Vidal Sassoon Academy in London with Jean Juarez, who was at that time working in one of my salons.
Mm-hmm.
And Jean is, by the way, if anybody wants to know, he's 100%. He's the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love that guy. And anyway, during that period, I, was very, very much into the precision application of hair cutting. I had a salon in downtown Seattle at that time, 5,500 square feet, 25 people working there.
Wow.
That was late 70s, early 80s. And by the time we got into the 80s, things started to change pretty dramatically. But I did have a woman that came in during that time frame, an Asian lady, and she wanted to know if I could help her with a wig. Well, I had no experience with a wig at all. So I took it on, and she's still a client, by the way. Yeah, she was a very good client. Anyway, I finally, through frustration, became a member of the American Hair Loss Council, and went to my first symposium, and it just opened up a door that was just amazing for me. Finally, I knew now I had a doorway to the future.
Mm-hmm.
And the transition actually was supported primarily because of the amount of integrity that was being shared by the two people involved, myself included. So you have, when you're doing regular growth hair, you have a certain kind of appreciation. But if it's the next time they come in, let's do something different. It's all this hair replacement industry. It's connected to the medical industry.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually, it has a whole different kind of interpretation for the client. I mean, you're actually putting out a fire, more or less. Their dignity's at stake. And I mean, when I finally got my pace after my being involved with the American Hair Loss Council, to have a person actually look at themselves in the mirror and tear up and thank you. I mean, whew, you talk about addiction, and that's what it was. It was just an addiction for me, because that wasn't really happening, before, because I know I was going to get another chance. Oh, you like that? Well, did you like the one before that, or whatever? This was the real deal. And so I gradually, over a period of time, it took me at least 5 years to 6 years before I actually really fully went into this part of the business.
Right.
Because the wig and hairpiece business back in the day was poo-pooed. It was, you couldn't make it in regular hair, so you went to the wigs, that kind of thing. And that wasn't it at all for me. Not only was I going to bring my expertise to the wig application, but I caught the wave. And I still, and I'm, like I said, I'm going to be 84 years old. I'm still in there.
That's excellent.
For that reason. Because I
That's
don't
amazing.
have any other thing that's as important to me as this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What was the first part of your question? Yours, how did we get into it? But then,
Yeah, I also wanted to know kind of how you all, I kind of shared how from my perspective, I know that you're different, but how you all, think you're different compared to other places.
Well, I think, because there's a lot of one-person shows around town, like, oh, this person will do this or that, it's just them.
Mm-hmm.
But we're a team of 9 people, and we're a family-owned business. So you get this heart. I mean, really, it's heart, and we have an amazing. So when you call, the majority of the time we're picking up the phone. If we're not picking up the phone, it's just both lines are being used. So you're getting someone picking up the phone, answering your questions. Jennifer, our salon manager, she's a scheduling guru. She will move mountains. She will call another client. Hey, will you? Can you move to this day or can you move to this time? To get somebody in.
Sure.
We need to get someone in right away. Barry, he's our newest operations manager. He's expert in concierge. He's just kindest person. Everybody loves him. So there's another person that you're speaking with on the phone. So you get these people on the phone. I mean, I'll pick up the phone too, but I wear many hats, so I'm juggling a lot of different things. But 4 other stylists besides William, and then we have another consultant besides myself. So anyway, you're not just left with one person and what one person can do. If we can't get you in with Alejandro, we might be able to get you in with Krista. If we can't get or Regina or whoever it might be.
Right.
So we have a variety. And you might find your person you like. Oh, maybe you didn't quite mesh with this person, but you do with this person better.
Right.
I mean, we all have different personalities. We have different backgrounds.
Yeah.
So, we try to line up what we think personality wise or skill level, but sometimes it's up to the client, or we just need to get them in. So we have
Options.
Yeah, exactly. In that way. And just everybody that works for us just really cares. We all just really care. Yeah.
No, that's
so
amazing.
I think that's what sets us apart. And the fact we're not just limited to one type. I'll call around, someone's moving away and they're like, I'm moving here. Who should I go to? And I'm like, well, let me look at the American Hair Loss Council. Let me make some phone calls. So I'll call on their behalf because I want to make sure I'm sending them somewhere that they pick up the phone and they care.
Right.
Or how are you with this person? How are you with transgender people? There's these different types of personalities. And they might just be limited. Oh, we only do bonding, or we only do this, or
Right.
we don't do any synthetic wigs. And we kind of do it all,
Right.
except for hair extensions. We're not doing that, but we can offer different price points. The synthetic fiber, the combination hair, the human hair, the virgin hair. I mean, the bonding, the hair, men's hair. I think that's what sets us apart.
Yeah.
We have such a variety of options.
It's so interesting because again, we're on, different parts, but I would say the same thing for us too. It's like a lot of places just do surgery or just do, medications and all of that. So something we pride ourselves in is like, we do topical meds, oral meds, red light therapy, laser, in-office injections, and hair transplant. So guess what? We're not pushing hair transplant. We're pushing what is best for you, versus lots of places, they only have one solution. So that's the solution they're going to offer you. And it sounds like that's the same, where if you only offer one thing, you can only offer one thing, versus if you offer everything, you can educate people, help guide them what might make the most sense, or they have multiple options and they can choose what's best for them. And also the caring component, I think, is so big and key, and anyone who's dealing with anyone suffering from hair loss, it's like you have to have that care and compassion and caring for that, vulnerability and honoring that and trying to make them feel as safe and comfortable as possible. So yeah, I think it's a big
honor.
thing.
It's an honor, really.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
take it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, when we do that consultation, we go into, and all of our rooms are private rooms. We're not in a fishbowl salon environment. Every room is private. Consultation room is private. And we sit down and we talk. And sometimes people are talking about some of this for the first time with someone, and a lot of times there's tears. And so that's where that heart is important. Like, we care and we're listening and we're hearing that, you and I have a lot of hair, and just when we're having a bad hair day, how it throws us off.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you have hair loss, every day is a bad hair day.
Yeah.
And I have clients, I don't want to leave the house. I don't go do things anymore because all I want to do is wear a baseball hat. Or once we had a gal come in with trichotillomania, which is a compulsive, hair pulling disorder or skin picking. It's a variety of things. That's a compulsive disorder, but she didn't know what she had. And so she was doing all these different things to hide it. And we said, will you have trichotillomania? And she was so embarrassed by the whole thing.
Mhm.
So she's sharing that with us for the first time.
Right.
And it's not judging. You know, a lot
Yeah.
of times people go to a hair salon and the hairstylist will go, "What's going on back here?"
Mhm.
I'm like, "Oh, I've been pulling my hair." And they're
Yeah.
like, "Well, stop it. Don't do that."
Yeah.
You know?
No, I experience. So I don't have trichotillomania. I have someone dear to me who does, but I have a birthmark right here. It's called a nevus sebaceous, but it looks a lot like to hairstylists trichotillomania. So people always like, I wait. They're going through. They're doing, and then I wait for the, and you know the. And that kind of judgment, and some of them will
Right.
say something, but I a lot of times do feel that judgment to where I will preemptively say like, I have a birthmark back there, like, because otherwise there is this kind of like, oh, she like picks her hair.
She's a puller.
Yeah. And people will come to us. They might not be ready to wear anything, but they feel safe. You know, we're not judging them. They'll come in for a haircut and color, and it's, you know, it's a safe environment, not judgmental.
No, that's
There's
very
never
important.
any judgment
Yeah, no,
at all.
absolutely.
Whether, you know, be, you know, that or clients coming in who just transitioning, you know, transgender.
Mhm.
You know, we just really want to, you know, come they come from love in our heart. And I got on that. I was thinking when clients leave, they might come in, we've given them all this information. Sometimes they need to think about it, you know, for a bit, or
Absolutely.
they need to talk to their spouse, or they need to see about health or insurance coverage, which we can talk about, but they'll never feel any pressure to buy anything from us. They'll never feel that like, I can't believe you're spent an hour and 15 minutes and you're not buying, you know,
Right.
you'll never experience that.
Yeah.
And we'll give them the information. I might say, okay, I'm just going to follow up, tell you what's available. And then I say, it's up to you. I'm not going to call you like a used or like a car salesman and
Right.
say, what have you decided?
Right.
It's not that I don't care. It's up to you if you want to proceed and move forward. And if I don't hear from you, it's okay. I send you all the love in my heart.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Insurance thing I did want to briefly touch on just in terms of any or all of these things can be covered by insurance.
It depends
Okay.
on the insurance. It depends on, so the type of insurance and the type of hair loss and just your policy. I mean, sometimes they'll say we only cover for chemotherapy related hair loss. But there are times I've seen insurance cover for androgenetic and even telogen effluvian. I had this client once, she was diagnosed with androgenetic hair loss, which is genetically related, or telogen effluvian, which is sudden,
shedding.
for those who don't know, stress related, illness, anything like that. Anyway, as long as they have the diagnosis codes on there, that's what the insurance is going to need. So you'll call them, and if you just say, will you cover a cranial prosthesis or a wig, and you don't have that diagnosis code, they're going to say, I can't tell you.
Right.
So you need to make sure you have that from your doctor. And sometimes they do. And sometimes they'll cover a certain percent if you're in network, and sometimes more if they'll cover the most if you're in network and less if you're out of network. However, there isn't anybody in network. So there's a workaround. So you ask for, with the insurance company, because there isn't anyone in network, you ask for that out of network exception.
Okay.
Right. And then oftentimes they'll approve it as if us, for example, are in network and pay at that level.
Okay.
But you just have to go through this, you know, it's a hassle, but this pre-authorization, pre-approval process. And some insurance companies, yes, are definitely better than others.
That's great information.
And you might get something. You might get a lot. You might get a little something. And you might get nothing. But it's worth pursuing. Oh, yeah. And we found out that if you call the insurance commissioner's office, there's a helpline. And we have that phone number. So if anybody wanted to reach out to us, if you feel like you've reached out to your insurance and they're denying you, but you feel like it should be approved, you can call them. And sometimes I had this lady who worked in that field that all it takes, they might just call that insurance company and suddenly it's being covered.
Wow.
So there's that as a
backup kind of. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's great. I heard of that recently for transgender patients too, wanting surgeries covered. That can be helpful as well.
Yeah, the VA actually we get these purchase orders from them, and sometimes they'll cover up to $1,000
Oh, wow.
Sometimes it's less, but oftentimes it's $1,000. And this is, for medically related, but also transgender, which is so amazing,
Yeah.
that they do that. I mean, hopefully that doesn't change.
Yeah.
For our current situation going on in our country.
We talked
Okay.
But this has been an amazing conversation. I think we learned a lot.
I learned
think
a lot,
our
yeah.
patients will learn a lot. Future clients of yours hopefully will learn a lot. I'm glad to see that there is an alternative plan. Not everyone is a candidate for surgery. We know that. We educate patients on that. We turn away patients on that. I'm really happy to hear that there are passionate players like yourselves that really care, because that is what is kind of going away in this day of AI, an age of, information or misinformation. So sifting through and filtering that out, there are people like Judy and William from William Collier Design that you can find. And I think, wrapping up episode 9, this is a really, really good episode. I think a lot of people are going to learn and be happy to hear that.
Well,
this
and
exists.
likewise with you. I mean, we talked earlier off this podcast, but what you shared was very educational. And we do have clients that come in, they need a diagnosis and finding a dermatologist, doctors that care about their hair loss, because there's a lot of doctors that don't. They're like, oh, it's just hair loss. But, so if they come in and can get that diagnosis, and then perhaps maybe can get the insurance coverage or get some extra treatment they can work on, and then maybe wear a topper while they're working on that hair growth. So I think it's a really good fit. It's really great. And we love offering your information as well.
Thank you so much. We really enjoyed having you both. I think this was, very educational for us and hopefully to our audience as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having us. This was really fun.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, William, for Dr. Kash. I'm Dr. Roopani. This has been episode 9 of Dr. and Doctor podcast. We will see you at the next one.
Okay. Thank you.